So I'm 44 and I'm about to be an empty nester. Boy, are my kids going to be surprised. Especially the 5-year-old. He is so not ready for this. Now you change a lot when you become a parent. My wife and I, we used to be up for concerts, ball games, hiking. Now our idea of adventure is a new movie on Amazon. We used to be kind of cool. Now we suck. If you're young and laughing at this, oh, don't worry, your turn is coming. Because kids give you both a reason to live and sap your will to live at the same time. You know zombie movies? They're just portrayals of sleep-deprived adults chasing after their kids, trying to get them to clean their rooms. And just like most people in those movies eventually become zombies, most people in the real world eventually become parents. You're the Walking Dead. You just don't know it yet. Now, families are a lot smaller now than they were 150 years ago. And there's two reasons. Better child labor laws and a lot more entertainment options. They used to have a ton of kids to help out on the farm or the family business. And it was cheap labor, even if you had to deal with a lot of NAP-related work stoppages. But you could have a whole factory's worth of employees if the wife was fertile enough. She comes home, you have a candlelit dinner, you've drawn a warm bath for her. Oh, honey, what's the special occasion? Well, babe, business is booming and I'm going to need a future shipping manager. There also wasn't much to do back then. They had no internet, TV, no Nintendo Switch. Nearest town was 5 miles away. You had to do something to pass the time while the kids were plowing the South 40, or whatever it is kids did for fun back then. But when you have a ton of kids, it's very important that you pick a favorite, so that all of them know the standard they're expected to live up to. And a lot of parents are saying, oh no, you can't have a favorite. I love all my kids equally. No, it's like when you get two random pizzas, and one of them is a meat lovers, and the other has artichoke and kale and mustard and Skittles on it. Nobody can love those two pizzas equally. Can't be done. So what you have to do is just pick your favorite and then try not to shame the other one too much. I'm talking about the pizzas. You can let the kids have it. But some parents are insisting, no, I really do love all my kids equally. Well, then you're pretty Orwellian in this. I love them all equally, just some more equally than others. My wife and I have 4 kids, which is either 2 too many or about 8 too few. See, if we'd stopped at 2, we could have each taken one on and had a fighting chance. You know that phrase, divide and conquer? Well, we multiplied and we're hosed. But if we had about 8 more, with a full dozen, chances are pretty good at least one of them would make something of themselves. And that is our retirement plan. If your kid is smart, you can push them to be a doctor, lawyer, or accountant. If they're dumb, can't blame them, they came from you. But if they're dumb, but have a talent, they can be an actor, athlete, or singer. If they're not smart or talented, but very likable, they can go into sales. And if they're not smart, talented, or likable, you've hit the jackpot. They could be a future president. But we're a ways away from retirement. Our oldest son is 7, our oldest daughter is about to turn 3. And at that age, there's really nothing quite like coming home after a long day of work to a nice, hot, home-cooked meal, sitting around the table with the family for an hour, to yell at my kids to eat their bleeping peas or so help me, I'll kill a unicorn and make them watch. And my kids lose everything. A large part of parenting is just looking for things that have been lost. Shoes, toys, my dignity, my sanity, sleep. At least I can usually find the shoes and toys. Those other 3 are long gone. Probably next to whatever coolness I used to have and all the socks I got eaten in the dryer. I like to believe that all the things we lose in life, like really lose, are just sitting together in a purgatory of sorts, A land of hopes and dreams and dignity and coolness, and socks everywhere, far as the eye can see. A peaceful land, a land without children. Another large part of parenting, though, is telling your kids things you should never have to tell another person. I've had to tell both of my boys, more than once, to not lick the walls. Sometimes one of them will touch something that could hurt them and say, "No, don't touch that, it's dangerous." And you'll let go, and then his brother will come and grab it. "What are you doing? I just told you not to touch your brother not to touch that." "Well, you didn't tell me not to touch it." But this is a good thing, because with that level of IQ, my wife and I are going to save a bundle on college tuition costs. Right now, I'm picturing them going to trade school together to be electricians. One of them's going to do something stupid, shock himself silly, and then say, "Hey brother, come over here, you got to try this." I do have to give my 7-year-old, though, a lot of credit. He's only 7, already has more game than I ever had in my life. He's on his second girlfriend. The first one was the neighbor girl across the street. One day we were over there, he's chasing her around the coffee table, and her dad says, "Hey bud, if you're going to chase my daughter, you need to talk to me first." Without missing a beat, next time around the table, he just says, "Hi!" Keeps running after her. And now he's on his second girlfriend. Recently he told my wife, "Mom, I have a real crush on Sarah." Mom said, "Oh, I know, honey. But I also have a lot of backup girls. Julie, Angela, girls of that nature." Have you ever fist bumped a 5-year-old out of genuine respect and just a touch of envy? Because I have. And these kids take a lot of energy. I will get some of that back whenever they leave the house. But there's a growing number of parents that are letting their kids live with them into their 20s, even their 30s. There's a spider that lets her kids eat her alive as their first meal. And I think that's brilliant. Get it over with. See, parenting this way is the same thing, except you're letting it take decades. You gotta kick the kids out of the nest. Make them fly on their own, or land with a soft, fleshy pup, and then get up and walk again. See, when I was a kid, we did all sorts of crazy, stupid things, like go outside to play without being told to. We'd ride our bikes all over town, drink straight from the hose, write our names in the snow. Respect to any girls who could pull that off. We'd climb trees and get scars. And do you know what we had, aside from a bunch of infections and hospital visits? Kids who moved out. And I blame gentle parenting. Not saying we go back to belts and switches, but there are certain medieval tortures that were not banned by the Geneva Convention. Don't look at me like that. I'm not saying we actually torture them. Just that we show them these devices and say they're not specifically prohibited. Make them fear us. Fear is a powerful motivator. Motivator to do what's right in the moment. Strong motivator to leave when you can. I do believe that as a parent, my primary job is to get my kids ready to take on the real world. And to do that, I don't want them to be afraid of it. Which is why I've been telling them life is a wonderful, grand adventure. Because it's worth it to me to lie to them if it means they leave. But there's also a lot to teach them between now and then. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, finances, dating, how to pick a career. And my wife is falling down on the job trying to teach them all that. My kids really deserve a second person to help out, but I'm too busy coming up here to make fun of them. And the reason I am looking forward to them leaving is so I can finally have just a little bit of peace. Right now, I have to wake up at 5 a.m. on the weekends just to get an hour or two to myself. And that's not healthy. My ancestors used to get up that early, and they're all dead now. I'm especially going to want that peace when they're teenagers. Teenager is the worst phase of parenting. The first 4 years are rough because of all the crying and tantrums and willful disobedience. Teenage years are awful for the same reason, except now you know they're doing it out of malice. It's like God saying for the first 4 years, remember, you asked for this, but at least they're cute, right? And then for the teenage years, yeah, they're not cute anymore. You can kick them out. I am looking forward to one aspect of the teenage years, though, and that's when my 2 daughters want to start dating. Because I've been a sociopath for a while, and I like sharing my love of mind games with people. One of their dates comes over, I'm just doing a little woodworking on a flower bed that's suspiciously casket-shaped. And then I ask him how tall he is, and if I can measure him. And then I go only up to the neck. See, my daughters are going to be teens at this point, so their job is to make my life hell. But eventually, they're going to come out of it, and I'm still going to want them in my life. But these guys, they're not marrying these guys, which makes them expendable. Not in a murdery sense, but more in a sense of, well, we don't have a law against that yet, so I guess you're free to go. And what makes teens insufferable is that they think they know everything, except for how old people, anyone over 35, got to be that way. But I take comfort knowing that once they hit 35, every year they'll be thinking, wow, that pain is new. And I used to be that way too. I was insufferable and thought I knew everything. But one thing I never did was try to make up new words. Every generation has its own slang. And every generation is stupid for trusting this job to teenagers. Language is our most important tool for communication. And yet, it's up to teens to come up with new words for old things. I've got mad riz means I flirt well. I was wondering who Riz was and what you did to tick him off. Bussin' means very good. It used to mean taking the bus or clearing tables at a restaurant. That's kizzy cap, means you're lying. When I was growing up, it meant you were having a stroke mid-sentence. How dare you all wreck the language that we wrecked when we were your age? Because we used to be all that in a bag of chips. We were fly, da bomb diggity. And now I'm going to go chillax because my time is up.